It's hard to review games. There are so many factors that can sway your opinion one way or the other, and you, of course, have to balance your own biases as well. Borderlands 4 is a really fun game, something that I think can be said about practically every game in the Borderlands series, except for Borderlands Legends, but seeing as that game was erased from existence, and from every app store, we don't have to worry about that. The Borderlands franchise has a tried and true formula: shoot gun, do quest, loot explosion. It's simple, and it works practically every time. That's the beauty of it. It has certainly been a rocky road at times, from the abysmal storytelling of Borderlands 3, which is only held up because of excellent gameplay and some pretty solid DLC, to the divisive choice to set Borderlands the pre-sequel in Space Australia, aka Elpis, Pandora's moon. But what about Borderlands 4? Well, that's a much harder egg to fry. Right off the bat, I want to say that I absolutely loved Borderlands 4. As a longtime fan of the series who has sunk well over 2,000 hours into the franchise across several consoles, Borderlands 4 is everything that I was hoping for. The game clearly comes from the player feedback from Borderlands 3, and it serves as a return to form for the wacky, albeit sometimes quite dark comedy of the highly praised Borderlands 2. Something I really appreciated in Borderlands 4 was that the game felt like it finally grew up. That's not to say that it isn't zany or funny anymore, but the jokes felt less in your face than the Gen Z streamer humor of the previous entry, and it felt like, instead of stooping down to the lowest levels for comedy, the game rose to the level of its players, the players who grew up with the franchise. The storytelling also felt much more grown up than previous entries, with real stakes and characters who felt more developed and subsequently more important than any other game in the franchise. There's a real human quality to characters like Rush, whose backstory is actually explored in a Christmas DLC of all places, and it really gives you a reason to care for them and to be worried when their lives are on the line. Speaking of the Christmas DLC, I know I'm late to reviewing this game. I had a lot of games to play in 2025, so I finally got through the game at the start of 2026 instead. But the upside of that is that I get to see a version of the game that has clearly gone through some patches and seen some new content. I heard in the initial rush of reviews that the game had a fair number of problems on release. I, however, chose to ignore most of that information until I had a chance to actually review it for myself, which is what you're seeing right now. So here's where we come to my holdups with the game. There are still tons of bugs, broken quests, glitchy animations, and hardware issues galore. I decided to lead with the good because I truthfully love this game very, very much, but that shouldn't make it immune to criticism, so I have to balance the good with the bad and give a fair review. In my time playing the game, there were occasional stutters, even after lowering the graphics to a level that my PC could surely handle. If you want to believe the ramblings of Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford, and that is a whole other can of worms, you could just say that my computer isn't good enough, and I am simply not a good enough gamer. I, however, choose to believe what I experienced firsthand, and that is the fact that there are some serious optimization issues with the game. It goes beyond the occasional blip of lag to quest objectives being slow to respond. There were times when I needed to hand an NPC an item I had collected, and it would take a full 30 seconds to a minute for the NPC to actually respond so that I could complete the objective. There were also quests that were just straight up broken. In one quest later in the game, and I am avoiding spoilers here on purpose because I actually love the story and I think you should experience it for yourself, there was an NPC who had to break down force fields so that I could destroy things. The problem was that each time the NPC destroyed a force field, it became glitched out and wouldn't progress to the next force field. Instead, I learned I had to fully exit to the main menu and reload into the game, where the NPC would then magically teleport to the next force field. I also want to add that this was a required main story quest that required me to reload the game just to beat it. Not a great sign. All of that being said though, it didn't make me hate the game. Sure, it was annoying in the moment, but looking back at the experience, it was still a net positive. I'm going to do the sandwich method here of putting the bad in between two goods. So, Borderlands 4 has amazing gameplay. The high point of its predecessor, Borderlands 3, was the gameplay. There was improved movement, scaling, and, most importantly to me, a slide mechanic. Borderlands 4 kept that same base and then built upon it, adding new layers of movement from a grappling hook to a jetpack, with some parkour puzzles included to make use of that new equipment. Best of all, none of the new things felt out of place. The added parkour and random map objectives all felt like a real part of the world, not just things added to the game to kill time, and I think that might be the most important part of all when it comes to open world games. And Borderlands 4 is extremely open world, which is actually a nice upgrade from the segmented open world of the previous games. It all felt very fluid. Is Borderlands 4 a perfect game? God no, far from it, but I think it might hands down be the best Borderlands experience we have ever gotten. I love Borderlands 2 with all my heart, and I don't think Borderlands 4 is a better overall game than it, but in terms of playability and the game experience, Borderlands 4 is the formula perfected, only held back by some poor optimization. My hope for the future of the game is that they continue to push out hotfixes and repair those optimization problems, while also continuing to add new content to build upon an extremely solid game. I really like Borderlands 4, and I'm actually already planning to replay it soon. I think that says a lot about the game, that even right after beating it, I want to play it again and again.